Hi, I'm Barb Sweet, a senior reporter at the Telegram. Today my two guests will be sharing generational stories of growing up proud in the St. John's area. With me are Tree Walsh, who, with wife Lisa Ziegler, were one of two couples at the center of a 2004 ruling on same-sex marriage in the province. As well, I'm joined by Noah Davis-Power, 19, a director of the LGBT community at Memorial University. He's also involved in the Make It Better NL campaign, which encourages youth, and is president of St. John's Pride, Inc. Thank you for joining me.
Great to be here.
Yes, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Tree, we'll start with you, and would you tell us when you first came out on the St. John's scene, and a little bit about what it was like?
Yeah, it was a little different than it is today. It came out in 1979, and there was nowhere really to go to meet people, and it's really not too different today in terms of identified restaurants or businesses or bars or whatever. So as it stands today, pretty much back then, the bar was where people went to meet, and it's still pretty much the same now. But over the years, things have changed remarkably. When we do media interviews, I was involved with the Gay Association in Newfoundland, and I was the president of the organization. But when we were invited to do media, or, be it print was okay, no pictures at all, voice recordings, talking about being gay in Newfoundland and Labrador, no names, and it was just radio. Nobody would do TV. It was impossible to get anybody to come and talk about TV because, well, you don't know, right? We were all out in the community, in the bar, and then our communities that grew out of that, different groups of people. But nobody really wanted to be public.
Noah, what's it like for you now? You're involved, you're head of the St. John's Pride, Inc. Has it gotten better?
Well, definitely comparing it to the previous years where Tree was experiencing being out in St. John's. It's gotten progressively better, but at the same time, LGBT kids, you hear all the time, you hear the suicides, you hear of the bullying. It's still all very rampant, it's still all very real. So even though we've come a long way, I know in your introduction you mentioned Tree's being involved in the court ruling sanctioning same-sex marriage here, we still have a long way to go. I was actually outed in 2010, and similar to, Tree over here, it was very scary to still be in high school and have people know that you were gay.
How were you outed?
It was a messy story. Someone got mad at me. They knew I was gay, and they spread it all around town where I live. So that was a very rough time because I certainly wasn't ready to come out. I was at the time head of the student council at school, but still very scary times to be gay in Newfoundland because you really didn't know how far people had progressed, and after hearing horror stories from previous generations, you still have that worry in the back of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But because, and this is what I've just come to accept, is that because I wasn't what people have ingrained in their mind as being stereotypically gay, I wasn't targeted. And the next year I was elected the president of the student council.
And it just demonstrates how things evolve. Society is changing, but we still had to go to court to fight for the right to get married, which is, I don't know, so stunned, but hey, that is changing. You can see it changing around the world.
So Tree, when you were 25 and you're out in St. John's, can you describe to me what it was like? Was there places to go in terms of restaurants, bars? What'd you do?
Well, I was lucky that a guy who worked with me was gay. So I had no idea. I thought I was the only lesbian in the flat. But I knew, like, he was out to me, and I'd go to parties at his house with my ex-husband because we were the cool straight couple. And so I said to him, I would like to meet some people. And he said, oh, well, me and my boyfriend will take you out. So I found out there was a bar called Friends downtown, where Velvet is now, the current bar. But it was not as nice. It was pretty dingy there. It had the best music, and it was a lot of gay people would go there earlier in the night. Now downtown St. John's early is like 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once all the other bars opened, all the straight people would come and watch us.
Did you feel
Really
did you feel comfortable going in and out of the bar?
Yeah, I did. But it wasn't so hot when the cops would raid, because the cops would raid the bar regularly just to harass us. They'd say it was overcrowded, turn on our lights, count us, stuff like that, harass us, and then leave because they weren't overcrowded, and, we really got hassled that way. And there was nowhere else. So if you wanted to meet people, you went to the bar. And so we need more social things organized, and Pride and other organizations do things like that to help and, alleviate the isolation that we often feel.
Yeah, definitely. Pride, obviously, in Newfoundland is a lot smaller than it is in Toronto and Montreal and any major centers, and even in smaller ones, Halifax. But during Pride Week, you see so many people that but you're also going to see the flocks upon flocks of people from all age ranges that are going to come out to the events, because they know that at these events they feel safe because they're with their brothers and sisters in the community.
But it seems like a huge community then, but day to day, week to week, people who are in the community don't see that because we don't have a lot of places to gather.
Yeah, definitely. But it's bigger than it appears to be.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we see people flock at Pride, they're not going to necessarily feel as safe going to other functions throughout the rest of the year. They see that Pride is going to be in the spotlight. They see that lots of people are going to be there. There's just because of the amount of people, there's less chance of being harassed verbally, physically.
Mm-hmm.
So we can look at that and say, if people are going to come out only to LGBT-specific events with their partner or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, that speaks volumes to how people still feel today in society about it, where they still feel that they can't go out on a regular day outside of Pride Week.
All right, well, we've had a fascinating conversation, and we're going to continue it next week. So I thank you, Tree and Noah, for joining me, and stay tuned next week for our continuation.